Welcome back to another edition of Music Monday from the podcast Nurture the Mind. I am your host, Cole Poots, and we are back with yet again another music reaction. It's actually kind of been a while, right? Because last week, it was actually on Thursday, I guess, of this week, since I'm recording on a Sunday, where we dropped the 50 albums, 50 really good sounding albums, in my opinion, alphabetical order. So it's been a few weeks since I've done a music reaction, but we're getting back into music reactions, and it is none other than a familiar face to the channel, Tom MacDonald. And the song is Let It Snow, but it's the remix. Now, I'm kind of late to the party because this is number 22 on trending for music on YouTube, but it was posted 8 days ago. So, so far what I've heard from Tom MacDonald has been really good. We did, the first song we did on the channel of his was Goodbye Joe, which might have been my favorite. Then we did You Missed. And then we went to, I guess it was technically a feature, but it was that song by Dax that featured Tom MacDonald, and I think it was called Soldier. And so far, everything that I've heard from this man has been really good. I wonder what this Let It Snow remix is going to be about. Like, it's really short. It's 1 minute and 50 seconds. So I don't know if we'll get enough, are we going to have enough to comment on? Hopefully we get some comedic relief from Tom. Just even looking at the thumbnail, I'm like, damn, this looks funny. This looks intriguing. Just the smile that he has with the probably special effects of the fake snow that's going down as he's looking into the camera. But yeah, without further ado, let's just get into it, guys. Once again, Tom MacDonald, Let It Snow, and we are listening to the official remix.
Well, the tide is finally turning, and Kamala's speech is slurring. Thank God we're saying bye to Joe. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. And the mainstream media's dying. Their viewers shaving their heads and crying. What is a woman? Well, they still don't know. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. They tried to stop us by taking his life, but they missed, so it's fight, fight, fight. The left really thought they beat the right, and they fought, but they lost, thank the Lord. Now January is coming. Half of Hollywood's already running. They're finding new countries to call home. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. As the drones fill up our skies, and Ukraine still wants more dough, and the left tries to take our rights. They want us bending a knee, but we won't. With Diddy locked up, it's been swell, and Epstein didn't kill himself. Hunter smoking crack with ho-ho-ho. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke.
My prediction kind of came true. That was comedic relief right there. Very short, very funny. Everything that he said is true. So a good little present to get around the holidays from Tom MacDonald, because if you think about it, Donald Trump obviously is not in office yet. And I keep telling people, anytime this conversation pops up, I'm like, we can't get comfortable just yet. The man is not in office. He doesn't take office until January 20th. I was as excited as the next person when it was announced that he won the presidency once again. But, that high that we all experienced probably only lasted for about a week. And then I was like, all right, hold on. there's still work to be done. Like, we can't get complacent. We can't fall asleep. We can't take our eye off the ball. I feel like, the Democrats are being very calm right now. And that was scary because it's like, why are they being so calm? Is there something that they're going to try and plan to do from now, November 5th, November 6th until January 20th? I mean, at least we're a lot closer now. Like, that was my initial assessment after he won. We have less than a month till Inauguration Day. But yeah, Tom MacDonald, man, he's always got something funny to say. The hook becomes, instead of let it snow, let it snow, let it snow, screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. Some of the things that he talked about in the song, we got these drones flying over our heads, especially in New Jersey. And apparently the government doesn't know what it is, but they're confident to not alert and tell the American people what's going on. It's like they know what's going on. They're just deciding not to tell us. And the fact that it's been going on so long and they've known about it this entire time and they're not doing anything about it, is quite alarming to the American population. But that goes back to my earlier point, just from a few minutes ago. It's like, I don't know what the purpose is of the drones. Obviously, there's speculations and there's theories and stuff like that that's going on. The mind is open to interpretation because our government never fully tells us the truth. And I mean, there could be many, many reasons why they are up in the skies and they haven't come down just yet. One of the emerging theories that I've heard of, especially in New Jersey, they were flying over Bedminster, one of Trump's golf courses. And that's scary. That's alarming. I could see the speculation of this coming true that, what if there's already been 2 assassination attempts on his life. Who's not to say that they were scoping out that area, a prime area where he golfs a lot. And then eventually, after scanning the area and really mapping it out, they have a good layout, a good idea of how this course operates, that they could plan another assassination attempt. Because I think people are crazy and naive to think that it couldn't happen again, where there might be another assassination attempt on his life. And so that is an emerging theory that's happening. And I think it holds some merit. I think it holds some weight. Can I say definitively that's what's going on? No, I'm just saying something like that, speculating like that, it supports my earlier claim that, Trump, the right, us common sense Americans, hardworking Americans, like, we're not out of the water just yet. We have to be careful. We still have to be skeptical, still have to pay attention. We can't allow ourselves to be lulled back to sleep, just because he won the election, just because he won the presidency. I mean, they have literally thrown everything at this man since 2016, like going into that election. What makes you think that they are just going to roll over and stop and just allow him to walk into office just willy-nilly? So this is obviously a song built on comedic relief. It's funny, it's short, it's sweet, it's to the point. But again, it still has a lot of elements, a lot of truths that sit inside of the 1 minute and 50 seconds. What were some of the other things that he talked about? Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. It's hard now because I'm trying to think about it. Maybe I'll go through it one more time. I'll try to refresh my memory really quick.
Well, the tide is finally turning, and Kamala's speech is slurring. Thank God we're saying bye to Joe. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. And the mainstream media's dying. Their viewers shaving their heads and crying. What is a woman? Well, they still don't know. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke. They tried to stop us by taking his life.
So he also talks about, Kamala Harris and her words are slurring. If you guys have seen some of the recent videos that she's put out, I mean, I don't know why anybody would be surprised because she's been doing this for a long time, but these videos are quite alarming because it appears as if she is just fucking drunk and once again saying even more nonsense and even more slurring. It's crazy that anybody would allow her to get up in front of a camera, get up in front of a crowd, make some type of speech, you know, try and motivate the people. I mean, I think she was one of the worst candidates that the left could have picked. You know, I think they did themselves in. And I mean, I'm not saying this to correct the left, you know, because obviously I'm on the side of common sense, conservatives, Republicans, even though I don't identify on the right side, I identify more as a moderate than anything. But with how crazy things have been, it's like, you know, even being somewhere in the middle, it forced a lot of people that were in the middle to vote for Donald Trump because that was the best option that we had. But I'm just saying this, you know, to the left is like, I don't, a lot of their decisions that they made throughout this recent election, the campaign process, it's like, dude, you know, you could have had a better fighting chance if you just got a competent candidate up in there. Even if it was somebody like a Gavin Newsom out in California, who obviously lies all the time. At least with Gavin Newsom, like, he appears to be competent in some ways. He's much more charismatic than Kamala is. Kamala gets up there, speaks a bunch of fucking nonsense, and just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So, you know, just in a lot of ways, the left really sabotaged their entire campaign by picking her. But yeah, what's some of the other things that he says? So Kamala is still slurring her words. So he also says, you know, the mainstream media is dying. I think it has never been more apparent than right now. You know, all you have to do is go back and look at the election that happened on November 5th, so just about a month and a half ago. And the thing that always really sticks out to me after that happened is we go look at this graph of the United States, and it was basically showing the election turnout. Well, pretty much the entire map is fucking red. The only blue that's on the map is not an entire state. It's just these big cities in these liberal states like California, New York, and Colorado. Those were the only votes that Kamala was able to capture. And so the reason that I bring that up in direct relationship to him saying the mainstream media is dying is because, do you guys remember, for pretty much this entire election cycle, this entire campaign, if we go back to summertime when Joe Biden had not dropped out of the race just yet, and and the mainstream media was still saying that, oh, he's competent, he's sharp like a tack, he's the best that he's ever been. He goes into that debate with Trump and completely gets walloped, gets completely thrown down on the ground and fucking body slammed by Trump. Part of it was Trump doing that, but part of it was just him stumbling that made it so obvious. And it was like at that point in the mainstream media, they could not cover up these things anymore. Like the fucking cat was out of the bag. The genie was out of the bottle. And so what they did after that was so fascinating is the entire left-leaning media, including CNN, just basically turned on Biden, you know, unleashed the wolf pack. Let the vultures go fucking dig up his dead carcass and eat every bit and piece of remains that was left on it. And then they, you know, the left, the Democrats, they executed a fucking coup where they said, Joe Biden, you are not going to run for president. We are going to force you to be out of here, and we're going to go with Kamala. And if you remember, you know, I'll pull it up, I'll link it somewhere. Back during those times, if you guys remember, for certain polling, is that Kamala had a 27% approval rating as a vice president, which means basically that she was one of the most unpopular vice presidents in United States vice presidential history. She was sitting at 27%. All that stuff that I just laid out happens with Biden. They insert her, prop her up, and then try and cast this image that all of the sudden she's super popular, she's super likable, and she's got a real chance to beat Donald Trump in this election. Go back and look at those polls that they were putting out. They were saying it's 49, 48, it's 50, 49, it's neck and neck. We have no idea who's going to win. Kamala is slightly leading Trump. I didn't believe those for a fucking second. I can't believe that anybody in their right mind would ever believe that. And then we go through this process. We go through the election. Trump wins by a landslide. Everything that he was saying came true, came to fruition, saying, it's too big to rig. We're going to execute this thing and we're going to run it home. And to me, that was just the most telling sign after the election. The results that we got is like, obviously, the mainstream media was lying to us and has been lying to us for a long fucking time. Probably longer than we realize. It probably stems back decades, Who knows how far it goes back? And people that still trust the media, the mainstream media, were stunned by the result. I'm like, well, where were you? You were living under a fucking rock. It typically still is some of those like older generations that are clinging on to this idea that mainstream media, legacy media is telling you 100% of the truth. Of course they're not, because they're an arm of the government, especially the left, especially the Democrats. They're in coordination with one another, feeding off of each other. So the the left is putting out this propaganda to make the American population believe a certain thing. It's all propaganda at this point. They're not unbiased. They don't tell the complete, accurate truth. Media is now shifting to independent media. So, for podcasts, people like Joe Rogan, a podcast that I listen to all the time, Real AF. There's another really good one out there called the PBD podcast. It's these independent media sources that aren't tied to one side, that are being completely objective as they're reporting on these stories that are going on in the media and our political system around the world, and they're giving their authentic take on it. And, some people will dispute me on that and say, well, those shows are going to favor the right. And it's like, they might favor the right because they have seen how fucking crazy the left has gotten. And so just that little comment right there, you could open up a can of worms. He's saying the mainstream media is dying. Yes, it's been decaying for a long time, and it surprises me that there's still a lot of people that haven't woken up to that fact, to that reality. But at the same time, too, I understand why they haven't, because it's all that they've ever known. And for some people, that propaganda that the media and the government, the current regime put out is still very strong to them and still very much grips their thought process. Like, those people, no offense to you guys, but this is the goddamn truth and reality, is that you don't know how to think for yourselves. You'd rather take everything that the government is saying, everything that the media is saying, not do your own research, not look at alternative media sources. And that's why it stunned you guys. You thought that Kamala had a real chance to win this election. She's not a competent candidate. She never has been, right? They propped her up after Joe Biden was forced to drop out. That is the literal definition of what a coup is. He goes on further to say right after that, he's like, we still don't know what a woman is, referring to all the trans stuff, the crazy trans dialogue that's still going on in this country and around the world.
Whoa, screw the whoa. They tried to stop us by taking his life.
Assassination attempts.
Fight.
How he raised his fist.
They beat the right. And they fought, but they lost, thank the Lord. Now January is coming. Half of Hollywood's already running. They're finding new countries to call home. Screw the woke, screw the woke, screw the woke.
Yeah, so just a few other gems. He talks about, talking about Hollywood and how they're retreating after Donald Trump won. Go into all of these different countries. You've seen that with Ellen DeGeneres. I can't name all of the other people that have done it. It's quite comical to see. He also talked about in the song, the left, part of their response to the loss in the election is they started shaving their heads. There was like this trend that was going on over social media where they would shave off their head. It's like, what the hell are you guys doing? And that's what's so crazy about that side is when they lose, they act like a bunch of fucking crybabies, and just throw these temper tantrums. I mean, I should look up some of those videos that were posted on social media after Donald Trump won. It was quite comical to watch and to listen to, but it's also scary at the same time because, again, going to my earlier point, there's still a good handful of people out there that have bought into this false belief, this false narrative that this guy Donald Trump is somehow like Hitler. It's like it's crazy that these people, they've never met this man and they have such a sinister view of who he is. It's like, when has the media ever shown the good things that he's done? The good aspects of his character and his personality. I do understand why people don't like him because of how he talks, because of how he conducts himself, because of his bedside manner, 10 plus years ago. I don't really fucking care about that stuff. I think the guy's funny. I think he's a comedian. He's a businessman. He knows how to run this country. He's already done it one time before. Those 4 years that he was in office, we did very well as a country, economy-wise, our foreign relationships around the world, keeping illegal immigrants out of the country, trying to fix our cities, take care of the homeless, veterans that are on the streets. He's done so many good things, and I think he's only going to ramp it up in term number 2. And I do feel like, in a lot of ways, ever since his first term as a president, I think he's learned a lot. I think he's calmed down a lot. I mean, he still has that ego. He still has that edge and that vigor. He wants to go down as one of the greatest presidents of all time. He's really thinking about his legacy, but he also wants to take care of the American people. And I think when you look at him, you cannot deny that he truly does love this country. So there's just, thousands upon thousands of people out there that have this Trump derangement syndrome coming from this false place because the media told you to hate this guy. You started to hate this guy. And it'll be interesting to see what happens from now until January 20th. I mean, like I said, we're not at the finish line. Like, we got to get this guy in office. And then even when he's in office, he's still got to accomplish all of these things that he said that he was going to do. Do I know, personally, is he going to do it? I don't know. I can't predict those things. I don't know what's going to happen. I think he has a better team surrounding him this time around that's going to give him a much better chance to accomplish those things that he set out to do. But we're going to have to see. I mean, I think you got to give this man at least like 90 days to really start executing on some of these changes. It takes a while to get things moving in the proper direction. So you can't expect, within the first 30 days that he's going to accomplish all of these things. It's going to take a little bit of time to set the wheels in motion. But nonetheless, going on this deep rant, talking about all of these issues and these topics, this was a good song. Tom MacDonald did a really good job of like boiling it down to the nitty gritty and just hitting those highlight points for me. You guys know me, you know, if you come over to my channel and spend any length of time over here, it's like I really like to expand upon things. I like to rant. I like to vent. I like to like really talk it out loud. So I took those little bullet points that he brought up and I was like, all right, like let's just dig deeper. Let's just expand even more, remind people of what happened this year before we got to the election. But it's a funny song. It's comedic relief. You know, that's honestly one of the parts where Tom MacDonald is at his best, right? Like, and I just appreciate anybody, especially like him, that has the fearlessness, that has the courage to talk about these things, because for the longest time it was taboo to share your opinions. And I do think, you know, leading up to this election, and then after Donald Trump won, I think more and more people were like, holy shit, look, pretty much all of America agrees with my opinion. So now it's like giving people more confidence and courage to speak up even more when they're out in public, when they're around their family, when they're around coworkers, like people that disagree with them. Is like, hey, you know, just because somebody disagrees with you doesn't mean that I can't share my point of view. Like that's where we got into trouble back in 2020. Like a lot of people felt this way about all of the shit that was going on, but they were too afraid to speak up. So, you know, yeah, I wish it would have happened sooner, because maybe that would have not made us go into 2020 and lose Trump in office and put Joe Biden in there, even though that whole thing is kind of murky and unclear to begin with. But I nonetheless, I am glad that people are, you know, finding their voices, finding their confidence, finding their self-esteem, and saying, hey, like I wasn't the only person that looked at things like I did. The whole country felt, you know, pretty much the same way that I did. So let's go out after this election. Let's be loud. Let's be proud. And let's keep our eyes open, keep our eyes on the ball, and make sure that this man gets into office safe and sound. And then knowing once that happens, we still got lots of work to do. There's lots of shit that needs to be done in the next 4 years to set this country back on the right track. You know, I think we have to continuously be engaged. We can't have another situation like 2020 where that thing happened, right? Like the Democrats are not just going to go away. The crazy, like far left mainstream media, even though all of that shit is dying and decaying and hanging on by a thin margin, just a slim thread, that doesn't mean that they're going to go away, you know, in silent fashion. They typically, historically, since 2016, have been the minority, but they've been the very loud minority. So now that we are the majority and we actually know that, let's fucking take this thing home and let's make this country better, so we're in a better position in 2028 to keep going down that path and, you know, restore order in this country and become a juggernaut and a superpower like USA once used to be. So guys, that's the reaction. That's the review. Thank you for coming over to the channel. As always, we part ways, and I say there's 4 things that I need you guys to do. Not all 4 things, but at least one of the 4. So if you enjoyed this experience, if you like the content, if you like the video, if you think I did a good job, if you thought that I provided value, if it wasn't a waste of your time, do one of these 4 things for me. That's all that I ask. Number 1, like the video. Number 2, share the message, share the video. Social media is where you can post this, or you can talk about it with people in person, you know, spreading it word of mouth. 3, comment in the comment sections below. I love having dialogue with you guys back and forth, learning about your experience, your perspectives, how you look at Tom MacDonald, what you got from this song. It's just nice to interact with you guys in that fashion. I love the community over here on YouTube, all of the people that subscribe to my channel. And then the 4th thing, if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, it would mean the world to me. Doing one of those 4 things is what really helps me grow on YouTube, you know, continue to grow this channel and push it out there to more people, because a lot of people just don't know what I have over here. If they knew about it, they'd be like, oh, of course I would subscribe to that channel. So I just need your guys' help to push this information out there. But nonetheless, guys, thank you for coming over. It's been fun, as always. I'll see you guys next week on the next video, the next reaction, the next review. All right, take care. Bye-bye. Love ya.